The apartment was a dim pocket of heat, the table lamp casting soft shadows across the living room, the air thick with the scent of fresh pizza, and rain tapping the window. My husband was out working late, and I was alone when the doorbell rang. It was Leo, the pizza guy, a friend of a friend my husband knew, his easy grin hiding a tension that set my nerves alight. The rain clung to his jacket, and when he stepped inside, his presence, lean restless, stiffened the air. He faltered, but I took every bit, letting the night swallow me. I was 31, married to David, a man whose love was steady but predictable like a meal served cold. Leo was different, tall, wiry, with hands that gripped the pizza box with a nervous strength and eyes that burned with unspoken want. His damp jacket, open at the collar, clung to his frame, the lamp's glow tracing his sharp jaw. My top, a fitted cream blouse tucked into a skirt, hugged my curves, catching the light, and his gaze lingered, slow, deliberate, waking a hunger I'd buried deep. My wedding ring glinted a faint protest, but it couldn't cool the fire rising in my chest. The city was a muffled hum beyond the walls, its pulse drowned by the rain's steady patter and the faint creak of the floor. Leo set the pizza on the counter, his movements quick, almost hesitant, but his eyes were wild, untamed. I stood by the couch, my skirt brushing my thighs, revealing a flash of skin as I shifted, and his gaze followed, dark, possessive, stirring something reckless. I should have paid him and shut the door, kept David's voice clear in my mind. But I stayed, and the night grew thicker, hotter. He offered me a napkin, warm from his hand, the paper soft against my fingers. "Sauce might spill," he said, his voice low, uneven like the rain outside. I took the napkin, our fingers brushing a spark that shot through me, settling low, aching, unbearable. The pizza's heat was sharp, but it was nothing compared to the fire in my veins, the want that grew with every glance. My blouse clung to my skin, teasing my curves, and his eyes caught it, darkening with a desire that made my knees weak. The lamp flickered, casting shadows that danced across his face, rugged and magnetic. My heart pounded a rhythm that matched the pulse of desire running through me. Leo's gaze was a weight pressing against me, and I felt it, every inch of me alive, craving, screaming for something I shouldn't. "Grab a slice," he said, opening the box, his voice a soft nudge like he was offering more than food. I could have sent him out, waited for David. But my body leaned toward him, my skin begging for his touch, his pull. The apartment was a world apart, the rain forgotten. His hand hovered near my arm, so close I could feel its warmth, but he held back, waiting. "Try the pepperoni," he said, his eyes locking on mine, urging me to taste, to surrender. The guilt was there, David's face flashing in my mind, his smile as we ate takeout. But the want was ablaze, drowning out everything else. I reached for a slice, my breath shallow, my body trembling with the weight of what I was doing. The night was a delivery, and I was already unwrapping it. The apartment felt smaller now, the shadows tightening as the lamp's glow bathed us in a warm, hazy light. Leo's jacket was slung over a chair, his t-shirt taut across his chest, outlining the lean muscles that flexed as he slid a slice onto a plate. My blouse was a traitor, hugging my curves, the fabric heavy with the room's heat, my skin prickling under his gaze. The pizza's steam curled between us, but it was his presence that made me dizzy, drunk on the promise of his touch. The rain's patter was gone, replaced by the soft hum of the radiator, a sound that vibrated through me like a pulse. "You're not in a rush," he said, his voice rough, like he was savoring more than the pizza. But he didn't move, his body a magnet pulling me closer. I thought of David, his gentle hands, his quiet love, the life we'd built, a routine of shared meals predictable as a menu. But Leo's presence was a sharp spice, raw, untamed, filling the empty spaces David never could. My fingers twitched, aching to touch him, to feel the heat of his skin, the rhythm of his desire. The guilt was a sharp bite, stinging, but it only made the ache deeper, more desperate. The lamp pulsed, casting shadows that seemed to sway with my heart. My skirt shifted, teasing my thighs, my breasts outlined by the tight blouse, and I felt exposed, alive, wanted in a way I hadn't been in years. Leo stepped closer, his body so near I could smell the rain on his skin, mixed with the scent of cheese and want. His fingers brushed my hand as he handed me a plate, a fleeting touch that sent a shiver through me, my body leaning toward him without permission. "Bite into it," he said, his voice a low hum, urging me to taste more than the food. My hands moved over the plate, its edge warm and smooth, a wordless plea my body couldn't hide. The guilt was a scream, David's voice echoing his laugh as we split a pizza. But it was no match for the fire in my veins, the need that consumed me. I thought of David, his face soft in sleep, but Leo's touch was real, burning, pulling me under. My fingers trembled, brushing his arm, an instinct I couldn't control, the blouse whispering against my skin, betraying my desire. His eyes darkened, locking on mine, a silent command to surrender. The apartment was a cocoon, now shutting out the world. His hand slid to my wrist, light but deliberate, and I gasped, the sound swallowed by the radiator's hum. The guilt was there, David's trust a ghost in my mind, but Leo's hands were real, promising a pleasure I'd forgotten existed. I leaned closer, my breasts brushing his arm, the contact sending a jolt through me that settled low, aching, unbearable. The lamp's glow danced across his face, making him look like a delivery man carrying my ruin. "Take another," he whispered, his breath warm against my ear, sending a shiver through me that made my thighs clench. I couldn't hold back. My skin was on fire, my body trembling with need, my heart pounding like the rain. My hands found his wrist, feeling the heat through his sleeve, the rapid beat of his pulse. I was drowning in it, in him, in the reckless thrill of being wanted this way. The counter was a trap, and I was already pressed against it. The apartment was a crucible now, the lamp's light forging something dangerous between us. Leo's hands were on me, steady, possessive, guiding my fingers along the plate, as if he were serving my soul. The glow was soft, but searing, highlighting every curve of my blouse, my skin prickling under his gaze. His touch was deliberate, each movement a slice in a feast I couldn't resist, and I followed willingly, recklessly. My body was alive, every nerve singing, my thighs trembling as they brushed against the counter, inviting him closer. His fingers slid higher, brushing the bare skin of my arm beneath my blouse, and I moaned, the sound soft, desperate, swallowed by the apartment's hush. My body arched toward him, craving the contact, the sin. The guilt was a jagged crust cutting through me, but it only made the desire sharper, more urgent. His lips grazed my temple, a slow burning trail that made my head spin, my hands gripping his shoulders, nails digging into his t-shirt. The shadows danced, mirroring the chaos inside me, every movement a confession. "Savor the heat," he murmured, his voice rough with need, his breath hot against my cheek, urging me to sink deeper into the moment. But I couldn't pull back, wouldn't pull back. The lamp caught the sheen of sweat on his skin, making him look like a man delivering my ruin. My hands slid down his chest, feeling the lean muscle beneath his shirt, the rapid beat of his heart matching mine. My skirt clung tighter, outlining every curve, and his eyes followed, dark and unyielding, drinking in every inch of me. His hand moved higher, tracing the curve of my ribcage through my blouse, his fingers brushing just beneath my breast, and I gasped, my body shuddering under his touch. The apartment was a haze, the world reduced to the space between us, to the heat of his hands, the rhythm of my breath. I thought of David, his quiet love, his trust, his hand on mine as we ate takeout. But the thought was fleeting, swept away by the storm of desire. Every touch was a bite in a meal of surrender, and I took it willingly, chasing the fire, the danger, the ecstasy. His lips brushed my jaw, his breath ragged, and I tilted my head back, offering everything. My body trembled, caught between guilt and need, but the need was a tidal wave crashing over me, drowning out everything else. His hand slid lower, pressing my hips against the counter, and I moaned loud now, the sound mingling with the rain's patter. I was his, and he knew it, his touch feeding me in ways I'd never be clean of. Then it came, a sharp buzz from my phone, David's name lighting up the screen, breaking the spell. And with it, reality. His trust flashed in my mind, clear and accusing, a weight I couldn't ignore. I pushed against Leo's chest, my hands shaking, my breath ragged. He stepped back, his eyes dark with hunger, and something like regret. But it was too late. The line had been crossed, even if he hadn't finished. I was marked, branded by his touch, and I'd never be the same. I stumbled away from the counter, my legs unsteady, my blouse still clinging to me like a confession. The lamp's glow was dim now, but it couldn't hide the heat still burning inside me. I grabbed my phone, my fingers fumbling, and rushed to the door, the cool night air hitting me like a slap as I paid Leo and sent him out. The drive home was a blur of rain and guilt, my heart pounding with what I'd done, what I'd almost done. David was asleep when I got home, his face soft in the lamplight, peaceful, trusting. I stood over him, watching his chest rise and fall, the guilt twisting like a knife in my gut. The days that followed were a fog of want and shame. I went through the motions, cooking dinner, kissing David goodnight, but my mind was back in that apartment, back with Leo's hands, his eyes, his pull. I saw him again at a coffee shop, his gaze catching mine across the counter. We didn't speak, but we didn't need to. The air between us was charged, a silent promise of what could have been, what still might be. I told myself I'd stay away, that I'd be good. But every night as David slept beside me, I lay awake, my body burning with the memory of a touch that wasn't his, a delivery that changed everything. The guilt was a living thing now clawing at me, but so was the desire, a flavor that wouldn't fade. Leo was just a pizza guy, a man who'd dropped off a box, but he'd stirred something in me I couldn't settle. I'd stopped short of the edge, but I'd gone far enough to know I'd never be whole. The apartment, the pizza, his hands, they were branded into me, a mark I'd carry forever. If this story set your heart racing, smash that like button. If you think I'm a fool for lingering with the pizza guy, hit dislike. I deserve it. Drop a comment. What would you do in my place? Subscribe for more stories that cut deep. Share this with someone who needs to feel the fire, and check out the next one. The truth is raw, messy, and worth it. Catch you soon.